Alright, so this will start our second set of map questions. Alright, the first one here. Okay, which two geographical features most likely provided fertile land that gave rise to multiple city-states in the Mesopotamian region? Okay, in case you do not recognize this, this is the Middle East. This is the Arabian Peninsula. This is where Iran and Iraq and Egypt and Lebanon and all these different countries are. Okay, these are areas that are known to be very, very arid and very, very dry. So, what would create fertile ground? Um, and if you notice, it's the same thing. What makes the parts of the state of Mississippi very, very fertile? And that would be the Mississippi River. Well, in this case, you've got two major rivers flowing through. It's the Euphrates and the Tigris. A. All right, the map below shows Southeast Asia. Which Southeast Asia is shaded on the map? All right, this one right here will be very important to know. And I know there's nothing labeled on the map, but they did tell us it was Southeast Asia. Okay, in particular, the shaded area is Vietnam. D. All right, the dotted lines on the map show what? Okay, now this is a partial map of the United States. Are these interstate highways, locations of cattle trails, routes of the railroads, or location of canals? Okay, well, let's just look at it like this. The cattle trails all started in Texas and went north, so it's not that, so we can remove that. Interstate highways, we have a lot more of them than are showing up on this map right here. So we can get rid of that. Locations of canals. We don't have canals cut all the way from Chicago to San Francisco. It's going to be railroad routes. C. On to number 4. All right, we've got two maps, and these maps show population. Okay, the first one is elderly population. Okay, so it shows you the darker areas are obviously more heavily populated by the elderly. And then the one below this shows the total population by, this was taken by the state census, by the U.S. Census in 2000. Okay, again, the darker areas are more heavily populated. All right. Well, actually, not entirely true, but you can see each one has a different designation. Okay, so state governments have to deal with the needs and concerns of their citizens. Based on the information shown on the two maps, which state would have the greatest need to focus on issues relating to the elderly because of the large size of the elderly of its population? Okay, now, if you look, the highest percentage of elderly would actually be in Florida. But Florida isn't even an answer choice, so we can remove that. So we've got South Carolina, which is shaded in the 12 to 14% range. Maine, which is in the 14 to 16% range. Pennsylvania, which is again in the 14 to 16% range. And North Dakota, which is again in the 14 to 16% range. So those three, it's going to be Maine, North Dakota, or Pennsylvania. Now let's scroll down and take a look at the lower map. Pennsylvania's got a population of roughly 1 to 2 million. Oh, I'm sorry, no, in that 10 to 20 million range. North Dakota has a population of less than a million. And Maine has a population in the 1 to 2 million range. Okay, so let's see what they say. It's actually going to be D, Pennsylvania. They're going to have a higher percentage. Well, it's not even a percentage. They just have a higher number of overall elderly to deal with. All right. An airline is flying from Dallas, Texas to San Francisco, California. In which direction would the plane be traveling? Okay, this is simple. There's nothing very, difficult about this. It's a matter of looking at the map, at the compass on the map, and it'll tell you. Okay, so Dallas to San Francisco. It's not due west, it's not due north. Okay, it's going to be northwest. Okay, and that would be A. All right, number 6. According to the map, the Great Plains region is located between what? So the Great Plains is right up there in the middle. Okay, and it's got the Rocky Mountains on one side. To the south, it kind of has the coastal plains. Then you have the Appalachian Mountains. Okay, so you have the Rockies and the Appalachians. The Rockies in the Pacific Ocean, no. The Appalachians and the Atlantic Ocean, no. The Appalachian Mountains and the coastal plain, no. It's going to be between the Appalachians and the Rockies. So that's going to be A. Number 7. Detroit and Chicago are major cities in which region? Okay, they are in the Northeast, or actually not even the Northeast. They're really in the Rust Belt up towards the Ohio River Valley and that area. So it'd be C. Rate which Roman numeral on the map above correctly shows the location of the Great Plains. All right, we've got the Pacific Northwest on Roman numeral 1. Roman numeral 2 is right in the middle. Roman numeral 3 is in the northeast, and 4 is in the southeast. It's going to be Roman numeral 2 right in the middle, B. All right, number 9. Referring to the map above, if you were at a location A, about how many miles would you have to travel to get to location B? On this one, we're going to use our little map scale here. Okay, now notice it says miles on top, kilometers on the bottom. All right, so it's about 2 inches equals 800 miles. All right, so 2 inches from A would put us probably right there in about Nebraska. And then 2 more inches would put us down into Alabama somewhere. It's probably looking at C. Ooh, they said B, 1,400 miles. Okay, now that's an estimation on this one. Okay, so you're going to have to take a close look at it and see how close you can get. Number 10. President John F. Kennedy attempted to deal with the situation shown on the map above by what? All right, now what is shown on the map? Okay, if you look, these are missile sites, and they're on the island of Cuba. Okay, so what did Kennedy do? We didn't bomb the. All right, number 11. Which geographic feature is primarily responsible for the lowest population density in the area shown on the map? All right, so the map shows population density, so the number of people per mile that or per square mile that live there. And in that really like light speckled one, it's literally less than 2 people per square mile. Okay, and there's no really large cities in the middle of all this. Okay, so what is this? If we know the map, it's not the Columbia River. People generally live close to rivers. It's not the Mississippi River Valley because the Mississippi River is not even shown. In the Pacific Ocean, we actually have a greater population along the Pacific Ocean. Okay, it's going to be the Rocky Mountains. Okay, not a lot of people live in the mountains just because it is a harder life. It's harder to build a home site. It's harder to get up and down to your home site. There's a lot of different issues that make living in the mountains difficult. All right, number 12. Which conclusion is most clearly supported by the information in the map? Now, this map shows land subsidies given by the government. 16,000 for each mile built on level land, 32,000 for each mile built on hilly terrain, and 48,000 for each mile built in high mountain country. All right, this is for the building of Transcontinental Railroad. So, what can we draw based on this? Is it A, the belief that the laissez-faire prevented the federal government from helping the railroads? No, it didn't. So that's not true. B, the federal government promoted transcontinental railroad construction? Absolutely they did, and that's what we can draw from. Number 13. Now this map shows women's suffrage before the 19th Amendment was signed in 1920. Okay, and all the black states represent states that had already given women the right to vote. And if you look down some of these states, go back as far as 1896 when they were giving women the right to vote. Okay, according to the map, which region in the United States did women receive most support for equal suffrage before the 19th Amendment passed? That's going to be the West, D. All right, number 14. Which title would be most accurate for this map? Now, this map right here shows U.S. military action in Latin America. Okay? So, these are times where we used our influence in Latin America. All right? A, ending colonization in Latin America. No, because, colonization had basically ended by this point already. B, promoting trade with Latin America. We were doing a lot of this in an effort to promote trade. However, this was not a promotion of trade. This was actually protecting our interests that we already had. Let's see here. C, humanitarian aid in the Western Hemisphere. No, we sent the military. We didn't send people to, make sure people were not starving or anything. We sent the army in. Or D, U.S. intervention in the Caribbean area. And that's what it's going to be. When we got involved and we, intervened to try to stop some conflicts. Number 15, all right, we're using the same map. Which conclusion is most clearly supported in the map above? All right, the U.S. respected the sovereignty of Latin American nations? No, we didn't. If we had, we wouldn't have gotten involved. B, the U.S. military action was used to protect American interests. Okay, well, let's hold on to that one. C, the U.S. rarely used its armed forces in Latin America before World War II. Apparently not. It's not C. I mean, there's all sorts of instances where we used our military. D, the U.S. military action in Latin America supported European colonies. No, the Roosevelt Corollary told them to stay out. So did the Monroe Doctrine, period. It's going to be B. We had set up business interests in all these countries. And the whole reason that our military was getting involved was to make sure that our business interests was protected. All right, the conclusion that can be best supported by the information on the map is that the construction of the Panama Canal was motivated by the desire of the U.S. to do what? So these are all different places where we got involved and had a stake and had some form of contact throughout the Pacific. Okay, why would we be worried about the Panama Canal? All right, A, to raise the standard of living in Latin American people. We could care less. It's not that. B, increase naval mobility and expand overseas markets. Let's hold on to that one. C, improve relations with Latin American and Asian nations. No. D, to maintain a policy of collective security. No, we really didn't care about what the other countries were doing. We were doing our own thing. It is going to be the fact that it made it easier for us to move our navy from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and it also made it easier for our commercial ships to get from one ocean to the other. So that would be B.